I first heard about the youth tour a couple years back when someone I did youth in government named Sarah Ralph did it, and she posted on her Instagram about it, and I learned about it that way.
So there was a flyer at my school on the bulletin board. I just checked it out, and then I looked online as well, and it seemed pretty interesting, so I applied. And yeah, that's pretty much how I found myself in DC.
One of my old Euro teachers actually recommended it, put all the posters around the school, and it sounded really interesting. So I signed up.
My counselor, his name is Chad Terry. He's been my counselor for 4 years at Rosemont High School. He recommended me to this program as well. He said it was going to be a really cool experience. And so, I trusted him and I applied for it.
I really liked the Segway tour. That was my favorite part of the trip. That was such a cool way to get to explore lots of different monuments.
My favorite part was probably going into the House of Representatives chamber because they didn't allow any phones, so it was really cool to see it in person. And then I got an admit card, which they give to people during the State of the Union address to even let them in, which is pretty cool.
We got to learn how to Segway. They had a 40-minute session. We got to go around. We got to see the Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial. It was overall a super fun way to just view everything, see places that we haven't seen, and also see the places that we had already toured in a different lens.
Definitely the Segway tours. Everyone had a Segway, and we went in groups, and we visited the White House, and we just zoomed through the city.
We had some good conversations about clean energy, windmills that's being built in Minnesota. It was kind of eye-opening for me because I'm from the suburbs. I live in Lakeville. I don't really live on a farm. I'm not in that rural area. So I kind of was just soaking up and being able to learn a lot from the kind of more rural kids who live on farms who that kind of directly affects them, right? Those windmills, those places being built are being built on farmland. So that's a direct impact to them that I would have never even thought about.
I didn't expect how knowledgeable some of the senators were about actually the co-ops. I know Amy Klobuchar, she was the first senator we met. She had a long list of things on her agenda to speak with us about. I didn't think she would really necessarily speak or have the time to do so. And that was probably the most unexpected part of it.
I didn't know what I was going into, getting into the program, but at the end of it, you make so many friends, you meet so many great people, and you truly feel you get a better understanding of how our system runs, meeting with the different congresswomen, and also just seeing what life is in the Capitol. I guess it kind of made me feel I could become one of them because we got those relationships and all of that.
I made a lot of cool friends that I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life and keep in touch with. You gain a lot of perspective throughout this trip.
I'm so grateful to Dakota Electric for providing us with the opportunity to go on all expenses paid trip that allowed me to learn so much about people from other areas of the nation and of our own state. I don't know, I've never thought about electric co-ops before as something that's not on the forefront of my mind ever. Being immersed in that and being able to learn a little bit more about that while also having fun on a trip with my friends was a really valuable experience.
I didn't know how volunteer oriented they are because they're not profit minded more so. They just want to serve their community really and just not try to take advantage of them, but more so break even and just help to supply electricity to everywhere in their area. But they just want to serve the community and do what's best, which is really cool.
Co-ops are made for the people instead of made for a profit, and talking about how it's important to advocate for the things that you want and the things that you need to share, and also just talking with policymakers, asking them to get better representation for the places that are represented by co-ops. I would like to thank Dakota Electric. They managed to make it so that 5 students from our area were able to go to DC and spend that week for completely free. And also they gave us such a great experience meeting all of these people, and they didn't ask for anything in return, which was actually amazing of them.
The biggest thing I learned was that electric co-ops are really the lifeline for rural Americans. With these co-ops, it makes it so that people in rural places have the ability to have electricity and energy. And without them, many, many Americans would not be able to live the way they do now. I would have never met all of these fantastic people, and I would have never been able to see Washington, D.C. really up close and personal. I got to meet the senators from Minnesota. It would have never happened without Dakota Electric.